Okay, here we are. It's Monday, April 29th. This is the $15 million mansion in which Antonio Guterres sometimes lives alone. Tonight, many cars in front. And this is not on his schedule, of course, because Antonio Guterres is a corrupt, untransparent, translucent, slug-like Secretary General, one who has the press beaten up to cover up his own corruption. He took money from the Gulbenkian Foundation, which tried to sell an oil company to the China Energy Fund Committee, which has been convicted of UN bribery. Antonio Guterres is an embarrassment. Worse than Ban Ki-moon, worse than Kofi Annan, worse than Kurt Waldheim, the worst. Yeah, look. And so, after covering the SDNY, the Southern District of New York Court, where we wrote 10 stories today, 10 stories on corruption, wire fraud, Antonio Guterres is worse than the people in pink jumpsuits and shackles. Now look at this. Now he has a public schedule. You know, every other elected official of any kind, he's not really elected, I guess. He's appointed by countries that want silence, and that's what they got. But they got worse than silence. This guy has a personal conflict of interest. He's personally corrupt. He personally took money from the Gulbenkian Foundation and didn't disclose it. See, Ban Ki-moon didn't do that. Ban Ki-moon had the full support of his government. He was inept. He did a lot of things. He had corrupt family members. Antonio Guterres is himself corrupt. So, now let's see. The lights are all ablaze here. All ablaze. Sutton Place. Now, we're going to show you. We're going to show you these license plates. We wouldn't do this normally. We've covered the UN for years. We never had to do this kind of coverage. But these countries, whoever they are, maybe it's the P5, let's eat some small children in Big Tony's mansion and talk about let's not talk about why the Anglophones are screwed and killed in Cameroon, because we don't care. Everybody has a piece in it. China wants money, UK wants money, US doesn't care, France wants support. So, you check it out. Hello. I think we're going to do, because this could go late. You know, Antonio Guterres is totally corrupt. He'll be eating endangered birds while claiming, as Francois Mitterrand did, of course. Let's check out the license plates first. I think we have the walk sign. We're going to show you this. We have every right. We are New York City reporters, okay? We're going to go through this diplomatic litany of impunity. Perhaps we can crowdsource who these individuals are. Ready? Plate number 1. 001 DBD. 001 DBD. Next up, 001 AFD. You check it out. AFD. Next up. Oh, this is Antonio Guterres Security. 00332A. Yes, they beat up journalists. They're totally corrupt. Who do we got here? This will be blue as well. 001 OYD. And it's gray. Each of these has a driver, and each of them has the car motor running. You see, this is illegal under New York City law, but it doesn't matter. This guy actually is not... one of the ambassadors, I guess, showed up in a 001 RBD. Now, all of these cars have their own engines running, okay? Bill de Blasio, Mr. Climate Change, 001 LKD. BMW. Okay, you've seen the cars. You've checked them out. The motors are running. Of course, you're not supposed to run your motor for more than 3 minutes, but Big Tony doesn't care. Big Tony is a total hypocrite. Look, what are the carbon emissions of Big Tony's dinner party? Ask yourself. Ask yourself. We're going to end on this note. An entire line, yes, an entire line of cars spewing corrupt. Shit. Antonio Guterres is corrupt. He should be in jail. The ambassadors who back him up are equally corrupt. The international system, as represented by the UN, is a total fraud and a joke. He has destroyed it, and no one has done anything. Start again. To be continued. Okay, here we are. This is the $15 million mansion where the Secretary General of the United Nations, Antonio Guterres, lives. He's had, for the last hour, 7 limousines idling outside, spewing smoke. He never told them, turn off your engines. It's not cold. Now, these two individuals came out of the side door of Antonio Guterres' house. I heard a dog bark. I guess it was a guard dog, maybe a Doberman Pinscher. Let's see who these guys are. Who are they coming out with? They may be guards. They may be guards. The lights are all ablaze. Antonio Guterres is a hypocrite and a corrupt censor. Wait a second. Where are those boxes? Those, I guarantee you, these boxes came out of the UN. Maybe he's giving some kind of show and tell about how great he is. Maybe he's feeding body parts? No. I mean, yes, he colluded in the death of... Well, we'll ask these guys. Hang on a second. I don't want to lose my bike, so I'll keep it with me. But we'll conduct an informal interview here with these individuals. Let's check them out. So guys, were you in the Secretary General's place? What's happening? What's happening there? So you say, there's 7 cars spewing smoke all night long outside as they talk about climate change. Did they mention climate change inside? Because they sure didn't mention it outside. Total hypocrisy. Okay, it looks like it was a catered dinner. Big Tony doesn't want to get behind the stove. Dinner man, you heard it. Dinner man. These were boxes full of food. Now the question is, what was Big Tony serving his undisclosed guests inside? Did he bring it back from China? Is it some sort of endangered rhino tusk meant to give false virility? Let's check it out. What company? We read a written question today. Who was playing in Big Tony's house on Saturday while he was away? Maybe it was these guys. Maybe they were scoping out the place to bring in the decadent finger foods for Big Tony's fingering friends. Absolutely disgusting. Let's check it out. We're here on the street. We are reporting on this corruption. Let's zero in on the plate. Let's check it out. You can find out. There they go. At least these guys weren't running their engine. At least these guys were not spewing smoke like Tony's big friends. They were just bringing the endangered. Yes, they were just bringing the endangered animals. See, you work for the UN. Now, it's okay. He's going to go to the subway. Okay, they brought in some endangered pigeons from China. Belton Road, man. Belton Road. Dinner, man. It was great. Fabulous dinner with Big Tony. Big Tony, they served it up. Endangered material. Fabulous. It's great, man. There's no racket like the UN racket. There's no money like the corruption money. Gulbenkian money. China Energy Fund Committee money. Now, I don't want to lose my... Oh, there we have it. Now, let's get in a little closer. I think we can actually catch the plate here. Do you see it? I'll try to make this as still as possible. It's pulling out. Yes, it's pulling out. This is the corner, the mother of all corruption. Antonio Guterres, the man who eats endangered animals and colludes in the killing of Anglophones in Cameroon. Goodbye. All right. Just another night in Big Tony's Sleaze Fest house. Yes, it's a mansion that you pay for. You pay for without a single bit of disclosure. If you pay for it, you're paying for censorship of the press. You're paying for destruction, genocide collusion. To save the UN, if you care, dump Guterres. And if you, whether or not you care, Guterres is corrupt. Put him in jail. To be continued. Okay, here we are. We're on Sutton Place, one of the most expensive streets in Manhattan, where Antonio Guterres lives in a mansion paid for by you, the taxpayers. He lives alone. Never convinced his family to come from Portugal to live with him. He lives alone with guards, and he has the press thrown in the street for asking him how he spends his money. On travel, taking bribes from the China Energy Fund Committee. Now look, we're going to document for you, one by one, the various cars parked in front of Big Tony's house tonight. Later, you can figure out the license plate. You can figure out if it's legitimate. All of these motors idling for this amount of time as they eat big money and big food in front of Big Tony's big house. Big Tony's corrupt. Now, one of the ambassadors, I give them credit, they have actual New York City plates. It's HSR 5768. It's true. They too, idling their motors. It's not even cold outside tonight, but who cares? Who cares? They don't care. Look, this one is called 001 QWD. Yes, it's true. All of these cars are in violation of New York City law. Every single one of them. This is Big Tony's security. Of course they are. These guys kill people. They like to beat people up. Let's check this one out. 0001 AFD. Yes. Engine idling. See, but they have immunity. So whereas other New Yorkers get tickets for idling their motor at this length, Big Tony's guests can spew carbon dioxide, until the ends of time. You check it out. You check it out. Absolute corruption. Right here on Sutton Place. And so we begin again here on Sutton Place, where, count 'em, 7 limousines are idling in front of Antonio Guterres' mansion, spewing smoke as he talks about climate change while leading small children from the Anglophone regions of Cameroon. Now, we were here a few days ago while Tony was in China singing for his supper, and he backed a car, a limousine. He didn't do it. He was out of town. Somebody, seeing us filming, backed the car here. Because you know what? Big Tony has a big back door. Yes, Big Tony's back door. They slipped out through the back door. Through the little blue door. Oh, through the blue door into the limousine, and they drove away. And so today, we asked. Oh, the lights are all on. Hang on. Let's check it out. Oh, too bad. Looks like the playground is closed. Big Tony has closed down the playground just as he's trying to steal a playground, the Robert Moses playground. We can't go in. We can't show you the absolute waste of money occasioned by Antonio Guterres. You can catch a small glimpse of it, though. Please. Oh, the peasants are not allowed. Antonio Guterres is an intellectual. He cares about climate change. He cares about diplomacy. BS. He did nothing. He took a golden statue from a dictator in Cameroon and stayed silent as he killed untold Anglophones, slaughtered them, burned their villages, chopped off their limbs. He did nothing because he's corrupt. Why did he do it? You might say, is he evil? No, he's worse. He's corrupt. Cameroon was the chair of the budget committee, and Big Tony thought that he could get a second term by claiming to have done reforms, and he also had a deputy called Amina Mohammed that he just had to have the resident coordinator system. And so he's told Cameroon, I'll stay quiet as you kill these people if you have the votes as I want in the budget committee on these reforms. Number 1, they want reforms. Number 2, they didn't even pass. Number 3, it's a sin, and he should be in jail. Okay then. Look, this is the house of the Environmental Secretary General, ablaze with lights. No one in those rooms, by the way. Just, why not? It's like Versailles. It's like Caligula. It's like burning children in a metal bull. Absolutely disgusting. A man without a conscience. People pay taxes for this, and they don't even know what it is. They drive by like zombies. Who's paying for this? Who is this individual? Why are 7 cars spewing smoke? No one else does it. There's actually a law against it. Only Antonio Guterres can send rapists to African countries and laugh and cackle over dinner with ambassadors and talk about zero tolerance, zero credibility, zero, none, disgusting. The UN has become every day more corrupt, and if they don't dump Guterres immediately, they will have passed the line. Gotta go, bro. You gotta go. You see, we thought it was just limited to inept Secretary Generals. They've now found one that's totally corrupt. That could use worse adjectives. But for now, we show you the face of hypocrisy. Now, of course, he has some children that care about the environment. Say, I'm so honored to meet Antonio Guterres. Really? Look at his house. Look at his cars. Okay? Look at it. He's not a symbol. If you look at him as a reality, you'll realize he's the most corrupt, worse than the very dictators that the UN criticizes. He had a journalist beaten up. I will tell this story to anyone. I was covering the budget committee, and I was physically assaulted by his security, and I wrote him a letter, and nothing was done except to ban me from the building because he's a corrupt. Well, you come up with the noun. I'll come up with the adjective. All right. There it is. Antonio Guterres' big night on the town. He was away wasting money, but there were people playing in his house. They won't say who they were. But now Big Tony has all the lights ablaze and all the cars aflaming because he is corrupt. Okay. The exits have begun. Antonio Guterres is saying goodbye to his many guests. It's been a corrupt evening. It's been an evening full of hypocrisy. While motors have run, Antonio Guterres has spoken about climate change while creating more carbon harm than perhaps. Let's zero in. Hang on. I hope our lens hasn't become. Here we go. We've gotten the lenses of them all. We can find out who they are. Who are they? We'll cross. Oh, it's all happening fast. The dinner is over. Big Tony's guests have hit the road. We're gonna cross the street as soon as safety allows. We won't be unsafe, and we won't create unsafety. What we can tell you is that this individual, Antonio Guterres, is the most corrupt individual. Who we got? Well, is that the Japanese ambassador, Mr. I believe it is. I believe that it is. 1, 2, here we go. They're all pulling out, all at once. Now, our beef is not with them. That countries choose to spend millions to put corrupt ambassadors spewing smoke in front of Big Tony's house is their own business. That Antonio Guterres is a corrupt censor is his business. There he goes, 001 AFD. Now, of course, it's a diplomatic play. Were they to choose to run over inner city press, they could do it. But we won't accept it. We won't. Now, here we have it. These are the individuals. Still banned from the UN. Smoke pouring out of cars. 7 limousines poured smoke for 1 hour on First Avenue. Yes, it's true. Okay, this was the Swedish ambassador, Mr. Olof Skoog. He was on the Security Council. He said he believed in freedom of the press. Did he do anything? Not to my knowledge. To my knowledge, no. And yet, here we are. At least he's on foot. The gentleman is on foot. He's, unlike the other ambassadors, pouring out, gorged and disgusting and fat. The man is on foot. But did he do a single thing about censorship? Did he do anything about the Anglophones of Cameroon? Was anything accomplished as thousands of people were slaughtered and burned in their villages? No. In the name of multilateralism, he stayed quiet. And for that, only history can judge him. The UN security car. Olof Skoog. I believe I saw the Japanese ambassador. It could be that all of Tony's guests have left. No, we have two stragglers. Over the creme brulee. Over the burned villages of the Cameroonians. Yes, it's true. Antonio Guterres' ghoulish dinner party continues apace. Absolutely disgusting. Antonio Guterres. Yes, you've seen it here. Big Tony's big night on the town. With the Swedish ambassador Olof Skoog, as the press remains censored, and the smoke pours into the street and the blood flows in Cameroon. The UN is corrupt. Even Sweden can't save it. Here it is. Antonio Guterres is, or actually yours. If you're a global taxpayer, you're paying. You're paying for these blazing lights, for the blazing blaze of corruption and hypocrisy. This is now the 6th in a series of... Oh, we've got another... They're coming out. Wait a second. Those guys work for the UN. I think they're pulling out. Those guys, I recognize them. They work for UN catering. Oh, that's what the Uber was... Yes, the Uber was pouring out smoke for Antonio Guterres' waitress. The other guy is a very nice guy. He's often up on the 38th floor. We're in the street. Let's check it out. Let's zero in. Antonio Guterres' corrupt canapé Cameroon destruction fest. Creme brulee to match the mini burned villages of Cameroon. The bribes taken from China. The smiling Swedish ambassador. The slaves, the servants, the sycophants. The UN is corrupt. You own this, and yet there's no accountability. None at all. Now they believe. They've called New York City police before, simply for journalism. The man who's so concerned about Mr. Uju, about the Reuters journalist in Myanmar. And I'm concerned too, but I don't believe Big Tony is. Big Tony is a corrupt censor. He had a journalist beaten up, and if there was any misunderstanding, he was written to, and he did nothing because he's disgusting and corrupt. He took money from the Gulbenkian Foundation, which tried to sell its oil company to a Chinese firm. He didn't audit that firm. He made deals with Cameroon to stay silent about killings for favors in the Budget Committee. He's a joke. Worse than Ban Ki-moon, worse than Kofi Annan, worse than Kurt Waldheim, worse than, well, choose your favorite dictator. This is it. Now, of course, we've got one last visitor. Who's Big Tony's last visitor? That's his driver. He's been spewing smoke for some time. Soon it will be over. Soon we will know. It's very simple. Nothing to be found. Let's see. Who is Big Tony's last visitor? The EU. Yes, the EU. The EU accepting censorship of inner-city press for 299 days. It's wonderful. It's absolutely wonderful. Totally corrupt. Totally corrupt. That is the European Union. They allow speeches in favor of the killing of Cameroonians, and they drive off in limousines. Let's catch it now. Now, Mr. EU's limousine was pouring out smoke for hours, now speeding away from Big Tony's big friend. Will the lights ever go off, or will Big Tony just leave them on, sunbathing himself like a beached whale of corruption and hypocrisy inside the mansion that you, the global taxpayer, pay for, as he colludes with the killing of Jamal Khashoggi, as he colludes in the mass imprisonment of Uyghurs? Why do countries suck up to this? How disgusting has the world system become? I guess he's the anti-Trump. This disgusting toad, simply by saying nothing, has become a saint. Shocking. An hour of pollution for an hour of hypocrisy, all paid for by the global taxpayer. Shocking and disgusting. Yes, it's true. Antonio Guterres is corrupt. And we're back. This may be the last of the last. Antonio Guterres' many guests, including Olof Skoog, including the head of the European Union mission to the UN, they regaled themselves with creme brulee as villages in Cameroon burned, and they praised the disgusting, corrupt censor Antonio Guterres, who had a journalist beaten up. All of them, of course, would sponsor an event in a heartbeat in the trusteeship chamber about freedom of the press. But they saw their host tonight have a journalist beaten up, and they did nothing. And so they are hypocrites, irredeemable, unforgettable in every way. This car spews smokes routinely in New York City. Through this door, a walrus, inflated by Chinese bribes, waddles each day when he's in New York, of course. He had slaves over here tonight. One of them left an Uber idling all night in front, just to serve the creme brulee to Mr. Olof Skoog. Oh, it was wonderful. Did he know? Did Mr. Climate Change know that his waitress was spewing smoke? He walked. And yet, his waitress spewed smoke. Hypocrisy and corruption. Sycophants. Incredible. Let's see. I don't think Big Tony's going to go out on his nighttime constitutional. I don't actually think he walks. He's probably already flopped down in bed with snuff films. I've concluded this because as a journalist who covered the UN for a decade and changed nothing, in fact was nicer to him than to Ban Ki-moon, and found itself beaten up and thrown out, I've concluded, based on evidence, that Antonio Guterres is the most corrupt Secretary General in the entire history of the United Nations. And that's saying a lot. They've had a Nazi. They had a man that hid the Rwanda genocide. They had a guy who had relatives who sold the UN. But this man is the worst. The absolute worst. And the lights remain on. Like a vigil. We'll stay here as he continues to burn off the very the very Arctic Circle that he claims to care so much about. Why are these lights on? All of his guests have gone. Is he really reliving the night? Oh, when I gave that bon mot to the EU. Screw Cameroon. Screw the Anglophones. Yes, the Saudis. Oh, I'm going to outflank Trump. What a joke. When they stop killing the environment they claim to care about, is when we'll pull out. Look, Big Tony is tripping the night fantastic. Nobody is left. His servants have left. His slaves have left. His sycophants have left, and yet the lights remain blazing because Antonio Guterres is a blazing hypocrite. He sits at a table eating his 14th creme brulee, living out the dream of Europeans licking his policies. No. He's disgusting and corrupt. I can say it. Check it out. Check it out. He would be, in most of these countries that invited tonight, he'd be in jail because he lied, because he didn't disclose a conflict of interest. But no, leave the lights on. Well, we can wait. I don't even have to say what we report on today, but we're going to... Antonio Guterres has finally saved the universe. He turned off his lights. Disgusting and corrupt. Turn off the lights on Antonio Guterres because Antonio Guterres is totally corrupt. He should be in jail, like any racketeer, like any bribe-taking individual. To be continued. We have a right to cover the UN. Until we are readmitted to go to the noon briefing and ask about Cameroon and Benin and the things that we submitted today and they didn't answer, we will not stop. This man is corrupt and should be in jail. To be continued.